We are now live.
Welcome to the Undercard Supercast for September 23rd. I'm your host, founder, editor, and scruffy-headed nerf herder of Undercard Superstar, Luke Irwin. Joining me tonight, he's got to get to bed in a little bit, Ben Cohn. Alongside him, he can dance if he wants to. He can leave his friends behind, because his friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, then they're no friends of mine, Earl Montclair. In the three-hole softball noodle arm, Josh Hall. And lastly, equipped with his thinking toque, Taylor Engel. Dateline TC Engel's comfy chair where he went nighty-ums for a bit of Fight Night Japan. In honor of Maku Hunto's win in his former fighting land of Japan, who takes home your golden pride gong? Gong. They didn't really use a gong, did they? That's racist. Their pride drum. His golden pride drum. And what sad sack is saddled with the unfortunate, disgusting, hopefully benign golden poop. Ben?
My golden pride drum is going to Yoshihiro Akiyama because it's Yoshihiro Akiyama and he's probably the sexiest man ever, or sexiest human being to ever walk the face of the earth. But besides that, he's coming back off of a really, really long layoff. Lost his last 4 in a row. His only win in the UFC should have been a loss as well. He's 40 years old, or just shy of 40, and to come back and put on a solid performance, to look pretty good doing it, despite the fact that it was against Amir Sadallah, this could have been a disaster, for him. And he put in a really good performance. He's going to stick around for as long as pretty much for at least another 2 fights if he wants to. So he definitely gets my golden pride drum. Golden poop. I want to give it to Takanori Sato. He's lost by knockout or TKO. Yeah, he's lost by knockout or TKO 7 times in his career. He's 0-2 in the UFC, and we know he's getting released. That's a lot of damage. He's been violently knocked out twice in a row. I really don't want... I would like to see him retire, but his style could have been really interesting. We don't have a lot of catches can wrestle in the UFC, Josh, well-known one, and it would have been nice to see if he could have done something, but they gave him 2 really good strikers and powerful strikers who could stop the takedown right in a row, so he's out, and he's taking a lot of damage. So, he definitely gets my golden poop.
Earl?
Yeah, I'd like to throw an honorary mention adding on to Ben's, because Yoshihiro Akiyama beat the dog shit out of Amir Sadallah and still had time mid-round to make Juliana Pena douse her drawers on ringside by flirting with her mid-beatdown. So, good on him for that. My golden pride drum goes to Mark Hunt, because I was a little bit delirious, and I was trying to stay awake. I really wanted to, and he came through and put on a performance that made me really, really happy that I had stayed awake. Only one other person has ever KO'd Roy, and to go out there and do another walk-off, like the Chris Tuchscherer special on him, really unbelievable. And you could see the tide start to change. When me and Josh were watching it, it might have been early in the first or part on the latter half of the second round after he got up from the ground, when he was really starting to look for that uppercut, and he was really starting to try to dial that in. It's like either they'd worked on it pre-fight or he saw something mid-fight to where he really started trying to get that uppercut working. And once it did, dropped him down like a sack of shit and walked away and called it a night. And that's the Mark Hunt I want to show up for. So he gets the golden pride drum. The golden poop, as much as Rin Nakai deserves the golden poop, quite honestly, I'm giving it to Miesha Tate, because Miesha Tate went out there and absolutely fought down to the level of her opponent and actually lost a round to Rin Nakai in the third, which is really embarrassing. I mean, they put TC to sleep, for Christ's sake, and then made me watch the fight and watch TC sleeping in Zuba's pants, and it was the most fucked up, awful scene I'd ever been a part of, watching that little refrigerator lady fight Miesha Tate with her waitress hair, and fuck, man, it was so bad. So that I'm going to have to give Miesha my golden poop for that fight.
Josh?
Golden Pride Drum. Well, nobody ever talks about him, so I guess I'll give him a little brief mention. Miles Jury. He manages to get no one's attention when he flattens Takanori Gomi in a minute 32. It's almost amazing his ability to make people not care about him as a fighter. But he keeps getting good wins, so we probably should pay a little bit of mind to him. Golden Poo. Alex Caceres. I'm not sure whether he was under the weather or fighting an injury or just took the fight on too short of notice for the length of travel he had, but he just looked absolutely terrible and let Kanehara do pretty much whatever he wanted. And that was a fight that I felt like he should have performed significantly better, especially after his good showing against Faber.
As far as mine, Melvin Manhoef, in an absolutely quick yet spirited slugfest that we all knew was going to happen, wins my Golden Pride Drum and gets himself a title shot. And if Shlemenko can come out and beat Brandon Halsey, then we have Alexander Shlemenko versus Melvin Manhoef, and then you have me passed out with a 4-day erection. And as far as my Golden Poop goes, Roy Nelson, quit it. Hit the fucking mat once in a while. What's the point of being a black belt in jiu-jitsu if you're never going to use it because you're too either stubborn or arrogant? You were never going to hang and trade with Mark Hunt.
He did try to take him down. He just couldn't.
He does need. Yeah, he does need to work on his actual takedowns, though. I mean, this is not a jiu-jitsu class where everything starts rolling.
And he did get his back one time.
I think he has the worst takedown defense in heavyweight at heavyweight right now. The takedown offense at heavyweight.
Roy hasn't had a sub since 06, which is amazing for a guy that's as good as his jiu-jitsu is supposed to be.
Yeah, he beat here in a grappling match. So
it's. I would just like to see it more. And he has some of the worst strategy in the game today.
He actually was showing off some new striking. So he was able to actually make it really competitive for the first round, but then Hunt was able to time him on that duck. It was weird. Like Roy at his best striking wise couldn't do. Like that was weird.
Yeah, it was really telling that a clearly improved Roy still just gets flattened by Hunt like that.
It's a big. It actually really shows how elite Hunt has become as an overall MMA fighter.
Dateline Las Vegas, Nevada. Crime and Punishment.
Okay.
Wow. All right.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
I got you, Taylor. Go ahead.
That is my bad, as they say. Yowza.
Okay. Boy, hard to come back from that being forgotten, but it's only happened to me for 3 sets of parents, so why should it surprise me again?
I didn't forget you, Taylor.
Yeah, you and Tom are the best parents I've ever had.
Yeah.
Golden Pride Drum goes to apparently nobody likes talking about him except for me ever. Like under no circumstances do I ever have a conversation about him unless I bring him up. Hyung-Gyu Lim is fucking great. I could watch Hyung-Gyu Lim fight all day. It just so coincides that I know I didn't fall asleep after this fight, but it's the last one I remember watching live. After that, everything gets really weird. So that doesn't hurt.
It certainly did.
But Hyung-Gyu Lim is terrific. He looked terrific. And if I don't get to see him fight Brandon Thatch before I die, I'm going to be a sad boy. Golden Poop. Boy, there was some things that happened on this card. Outside of lulling me to sleep, on rewatch, I can see why Miesha Tate and Rin Nakai lulled me to sleep. I'm going to pull up the UFC's women's bantamweight rankings, because it really says something about the depth of the UFC's women's division when Miesha Tate is basically inarguably a top 3 women's bantamweight, and she is an atrocious fighter. She is very not good at doing fighting.
Counterpoint, aside from the Rin Nakai fight, I'm pretty sure that's the only win she has over an active fighter except for Carmouche. Those are her only 2 wins she has, not just over like a fighter with a winning record. I think those are her only 2 wins over an active bantamweight.
That's incredible. Like, I'm sure she's second right now, right? Sorry, I forgot to pull up.
Yeah, she's right behind Kat.
I'm sure she's second right now behind Kat and Ronda.
Yeah.
Which, I would love to say is asinine, but it really isn't. Who are you going to put in front of her? Like Andrade, maybe? Maybe?
No. She doesn't have any big wins compared to...
Who would you take beat that matters?
Marlowe's Conan. Yeah, it's a while ago, but she beat her for the title.
Yeah, no, that's fair, actually. That was a while ago. I forgot about it. But, like, yeah, she's... Like, McMahon and Davis, like, that is such a soft division. It appalls me to think that people are upset at the lack of women's fights that get onto main cards. But that's what you're looking at, people. It's not good. I would rather watch 2, like, 30 to 40th ranked men's welterweights than anybody in the back half of the top 10 at women's bantamweight. And that's coming from a guy who watches a shit ton of women's fighting. It's just a weak fucking division on it when it's supposed to be a UFC fight. That's supposed to be the best fighters in the world. They are not the best fighters in the world. Sex does not matter. They are not good.
I totally think sex matters in my life.
Sex is good.
How can you say sex doesn't matter? It's sickening.
Ben, you really need to check your privilege right now.
Yeah, I'm sick of you man-shaming.
Your patriarchal... I forgot what I was going to say. Dateline, Las Vegas, Nevada. Crime and punishment was the order of the day. Hearings all morning. Daniel Cormier and John Jones were 2 of the hearings, or 1 technically, if you want to kind of condense for... Anyway, they were dragged in front of the board. They were both fined 10% of their UFC 182 purse, $9,000 for Cormier, $50,000 for Jones. Cormier was issued 20 hours of community service, Jones 40, and allegedly, which is unrelated to the hearing, Jones lost his 6-figure Nike contract. Thoughts on the crime and punishment levied to Jones and Cormier? Ben?
Before I answer, are we also going to talk about Silva after? As a separate topic?
Yep.
Okay. So, with Jones and Cormier, I can see why they gave Jones more community service because he threw the punch, but Jones does not have a history of starting anything at weigh-ins. He hasn't had any shoving matches before this. Cormier does. He shoved Patrick Cummins with no provocation. Cummins did not touch him. So I actually would not have given 40 hours to Jones and 20 hours to Cormier. I would have at least given them an equal amount of punishment in that regard. With regard to Jones and the Nike deal, this kind of proves a point that I made when it first happened. It's not good for the sport. That's why it's not good for the sport, because these fighters rely on their image to get sponsorship deals. Jones losing a Nike deal is a huge deal, not just for him, but for the sport, because they're looking at the sport now. We were sponsoring one of the biggest athletes in the sport, and that did not work out. Why in the world would they want to sponsor another fighter of that caliber? Well, it makes no sense, and that's why I'm like, oh yeah, short-term gain, more pay-per-view buys. What ended up happening? Injury. The fight was pushed off. The heat is gone. It's going to lose the buy rates it may have gained. I don't understand why people think, oh my god, this is so awesome for the sport. No, it's not. It does damage the sport. It does damage the image. And the fine and the community service, I don't give a shit. It's their own damn fault for being stupid. There was no need for that bullshit. I'd rather see the fight in the cage. And I'm honestly, I don't care about that particular ruling because I think it was. I'm fine with it. I'm totally fine with it. And I think they deserved it.
Earl?
I mean, I guess that's kind of what they get for messing with John Jones, because he's such a wanker to begin with, and honestly, like, you know, anything that takes John Jones down a peg or two is A-okay in my book. But I mean, that's cool. I mean, hopefully they do something useful with their community service, like, you know, go to the animal shelter and play with puppies and kitties and doggies and pick up animal shit and be nice.
Anything that ends with IES, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Shitties.
And I feel like that's what I
Bronies?
want.
They're gonna play with bronies?
Dude, if they, I would watch a 40-hour-a-week miniseries of John Jones playing with bronies. I'm sorry, and if you wouldn't, you're a fucking liar. But you know, this is honestly the first I'm hearing of that. I didn't even know, so fucking that's really, I'm kind of blown away by it. I'm actually super cool with it, and like I said, man, don't act like such a clown, and you can keep your sponsorship deal.
Josh?
I think the whole Nike deal's really not even, doesn't have that much to do with this. That Jones can't wear Nike gear in the Octagon. They're working out a uniform deal. Nike's not going to sponsor a guy who can't wear his gear in the Octagon. This was just convenient timing for that to go ahead and be ended. But that was coming regardless, because you can't have conflicting sponsors clothing-wise in the Octagon, and that's what's coming down the road. But the punishment, I mean, it's fine with me, I guess. They weren't going to give him more than a slap on the wrist. Everybody knew that. And I'm okay with Jones getting extra community service, because Scholler could have been legitimately injured when he got thrown off the stage in the process. And for all that Cormier did in his actions, he didn't take a guy who was half his size and just get thrown off. So I don't really care, though.
Josh, just want to make a quick counterpoint to that. Even if they were going to make a uniform deal, it's not being implemented by his next fight that we know of. It might not be it might not be implemented for a very long time. So that's a couple of fights worth of you know, payments that Nike would have given him. So that actually does cost him a lot of money.
I wasn't talking about the money it was going to cost him. I was saying that the deal was the deal was ending anyway, and this was just a reason for them to do it. Jones gave them a reason for them to walk away now instead of in a couple of fights.
It's still bad publicity, though.
I know, that's what I was saying. That was kind of the point of it.
I know. I'm saying, like...
No, you didn't. That's why you said that.
Luke?
As far, yeah, it's fine. I mean, 10% of the purse, that's standard. You get fined sometimes 20% just for missing weight. So I can see that. The community service, good. I mean, the fact that they were both ordered to do the community service in the Las Vegas area, I guess a little self-serving, but I guess, yeah, the infraction happened there, but whatever. I'm more concerned, I wouldn't say concerned, but interested in Jones's Nike contract that was apparently 6 figures, which Nike just signed Kevin Durant to a $300 million deal. I just find that funny. $300 million deal in Jones' little $100,000 Nike. So I don't know why. That carries no relevance really, and it's not really. I just find it funny that Jones is 3 digits less of a superstar than Kevin Durant.
We'll get to talkers at Ben's turn to talk about something new.
Taylor Engel.
Okay. It's funny that now that you want me to talk, I don't really have anything to say, because really I don't give a shit.
Story of your life.
Oh yeah, thank you, Luke. Great friend. You're a real sport. Yeah, fuck it. Really, I don't think they should have been penalized that much. Because, as with most things in sports, I think that it's 50% staged. Like, yeah, Scholler could have been hurt, whatever. He's fucking annoying anyways. Just sits on Twitter and sucks Ronda's teat. So, if he was injured, whatever. I don't give a fuck. As far as the Nike thing goes, whatever. They were gonna leave him anyways. Now it's just a bit sooner. They don't have to waste their money on a gaping twat of a human being. Speaking
of twats of human beings, it was also Wanderlei Silva's day, in front of the board. Now, Wanderlei had previously announced his retirement from competition, blaming the UFC, the lack of pay, and also his lack of competitive fire. But the NSAC just added to that with a $70,000 fine and a lifetime ban. So, in a two-parter. What do you think about the decision of the Nevada State Athletic Commission towards Wanderlei Silva, and also, what's your favorite Wandy memory, Ben?
First off, I would take the Nevada State Athletic Commission a lot more seriously if, with the punishment of Wanderlei Silva, if they would take Vitor Belfort's balls out of their mouth. He's coming off of a failed steroid. Oh my God, it's so ridiculous. It's so full of bullshit, and it's ridiculous. Why is Sonnen have a 2-year ban when he failed his 3rd fucking test, and Wanderlei Silva technically didn't even fail? Yes, he ran from the test. It's ridiculous, but then he should definitely get at least a couple-year suspension, in my opinion. And I would be okay with a lifetime ban if they were consistent in their punishments. Punishing people who fail steroids tests multiple times, you should not be able to fight again at this point. That's it. Vitor Belfort was going to fight for a title, and still is. I think they're just pushed off the fight. It's fucking bullshit. The $70,000 fine, it's posturing. He's never going to fight again, so they're not going to be able to collect it, as far as I know, just like with Sonnen. But the actual ban itself, if it wasn't such a bullshit, wishy-washy commission, and they just went back and forth whoever they wanted, they ban. They're doing it for, look how hard of a stance we're taking on steroids. Bullshit. You're full of shit. You're kissing Vitor's ass. You're kissing all these steroid users' asses when it's convenient for you. So fuck you, NSAC. Favorite Wandy moments? That would have to be Mark Hunt atomic butt dropping on him, because that glorious moment will live on in infamy, and I support that completely.
Yeah, I mean, really kind of giving a guy, that kind of a ban and stuff who just retired, it's really easy to lay that kind of punishment on a guy that's not fighting. I do kind of agree with what Ben's saying, that, if you want to make that count, do that to an active fighter and, swing your dick around a little bit, but instead, that we get what we get. But so the fine, whatever, it's like, he's retired. It's like, hopefully they'll make this one. If anything good comes from it, a retirement will actually stick in MMA instead of somebody waffling and coming back 80,000 times. As far as my favorite Wanderlei moment, it has to be when I saw him fight live against Kung Lee, and I remember being so scared that I was going to see Wanderlei get switched off, and I was so fucking dreading seeing him get switched off by Kung, and then he came through and really massacred him a good one, and a massacre that was later dwarfed by the one Bisping put on Kung, but it was something else, man. So my favorite Wanderlei moment was actually getting to see him fight in person.
Josh?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Wanderlei knew before today that this was what was coming, which is probably why he didn't show up for the hearing at all, because I think he was pretty well aware that, I think his whole retirement video probably was done because he knew that he was getting this ban. And, I mean, I guess at some point you've got to start cracking down on this, but until they start doing it on just more than one person, they're going to pick and choose, then it's really just a joke and it's a farce, and it's typical from the Nevada Athletic Commission to do business this way, so I don't really expect anything better from them. Favorite Wanderlei moment? It has to be watching him crumple Rampage in Pride, leaving him hung across the ropes, just out like a light. That's just one of the greatest finishes ever in a fight, and I will always love him for that.
Yeah, Nevada State Athletic, they're such a band of pussies. It was They basically, by putting a lifetime ban on someone who already retired, they basically just, yeah, that's what I thought. After someone, just a bunch of vages.
You can't quit. You're fired.
Keep walking, Wanderlei. That's what I thought. Oh, you fucking assholes. 70,000 fine. $50 fine a little harsh. And again, yeah, I don't understand why Wanderlei has a harsher punishment than Vitor or other repeat offenders, but Nevada gonna Nevada. And his favorite Wanderlei moment, yeah, it's hard to top Rampage crumbling through the ropes. Also, his last career fight, it'll stand to be, was his fight with Brian Stan, which was outstanding and exciting, and one of the just an absolute highlight reel from bell to bell. And also him almost choking out Michael Bisping, because that was pretty damn funny. Taylor?
I always loved Wand. I have a tattoo in the same script on the same part of my body as kind of my mini tribute to Wand. Fuck everyone who doesn't like him. My favorite Wanderlei moment, god damn. There's, like, without going full Ben here, there's so many of them. Like, I remember as, like, I was probably, like, 13 or something, probably, like, 12 or 13, probably, like, a year after it happened, finding a bootleg DVD of Pride 28 and seeing that mauling he put on Rampage that left him hanging in the ropes. I still haven't seen a finish that I found as absolutely jaw-droppingly violent as that. So that's what obviously to a greater degree, just the entire feud with Rampage, because I was always team Wanderlei, but I liked both of the guys, so it was a weird dynamic for me. But that entire rivalry delivered. All three fights ended with so much violence, and that's one of the, like, 2 or 3 non-staged MMA feuds in history, so that's another thing I really like.
And now Rampage is supporting him on Twitter in a nice little circle of events.
I do want to add one more thing that my friend Nolan Howell's idol said. Paraphrasing, of course, is Wanderlei screwed Wanderlei. Dateline, Phoenix, Arizona. Nate Diaz is back and will be in the co-main of the Fox card against Rafael Dos Anjos. Thought on the fight and prediction for it, Benjamin.
RDA is gonna fuck Nate Diaz up. It's just, he's gonna knock him out. He's gonna knock him out. It's gonna be glorious, and we're never gonna have to hear about Nate Diaz being a title contender near it again.
That's not how it works. You will hear about that again.
That's how it works, okay? That is how it should work.
Life isn't fair, Ben.
Yeah, speaking of life isn't fair, it sure isn't fair for Nate Diaz on this one, because he's going to get the fucking crap kicked out of him in this fight, and it really couldn't come from a better dude to do it, too. Like, RDA, just like with this violent Muay Thai game that he's developed, and the jiu-jitsu and the whole package that he's kind of turned into, this is a massive step down for him, to be quite honest, after just dump trucking Benson Henderson. So I don't like that portion of it. But honestly, like, Nate Diaz is going to be on the receiving end of, like, one hell of a beating, and I 100% support that. And Ben Saunders is going to be fighting on that card too. That card is, like, slowly turning into a bit of a beast down there for Phoenix.
Yeah, they deserve good things down there.
Way better than those fuckers in Erie. That's for
damn Skippy, those cunts. Josh?
Yeah, I actually think this is going to be a really competitive fight. I think that the Diaz hate is clouding y'all a little bit. I think that he's certainly got the boxing game to, if he's on his game and is dictating range properly, he's a pain in the ass for almost anyone in the division. And Dos Anjos doesn't have the overwhelming top game that has caused Diaz so many problems in the past. So I think this could be a really close fight. I think I'll take Dos Anjos by decision, but I think that a Diaz decision would actually not surprise me very much at all.
Have you forgotten Bendo kicking the shit out of Diaz on the feet?
MMA match, flawless. It's flawless.
I don't.
No, I also remember Nate Diaz destroying Donald Cerrone on the feet.
Yeah.
So I said if he's on his game dictating range, then he's a tough fighter to deal with.
You mean when Cerrone brawl Diaz?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I actually think that and I can't really put my finger on it, but I think Nate is a horrible matchup for RDA. He's not going to be able to just pressure Nate and just swarm him like he did with Bendo. Nate, his footwork's too. His game is predicated on that. So yeah, I think this is. I'm going to call it down the middle. I don't have a prediction to give yet, but I don't think this is going to be the cakewalk that you guys think it is. I think Nate is it's just a weird matchup for RDA. I'm picturing it in my head, and I don't think he's going to be able to steamroll him like he did Bendo. And of course, if a win, you know what that means with Nate Diaz, title shot. He's always one fight away, him and Gillard. Taylor?
Yeah, I'm kind of like in between the two schools of thought here of RDA is going to beat the living shit out of him, and it's going to be a 50-50 fight. I'll call it a 60-40 fight in a just breathtakingly hot take. I think.
Bold stance.
Why don't you just go full Galvan? Just call it a no contest.
No one wants to go
even
full
mean?
Galvan.
Never
You don't ever do that.
Yeah, I don't think that Nate Diaz has looked like a complete atrocity lately. Josh Thompson, I haven't watched the fight since it happened, but I don't remember it being a complete mauling. I remember it being one really good head kick and then ground and pound. And then there's the Bendo fight, but whatever, that's a thing that happened. But Nate Diaz, hasn't fought a lot recently, but his fights before that, he all looked just like dynamited, like Jim Miller, Cerrone, Gomi, who else did he beat back then?
Gray Maynard before he went out was his last fight, which was a good. I mean, it was pretty much a walking heavy bag, but
Yeah, so Nate, I'm the furthest thing from a Diaz apologist. You guys know that, but I don't think Nate's a cakewalk. I do think that RDA is going to be a favorite, and rightfully so. He's looked really, really good lately, despite beating, Benson Henderson, who, if you talk to Luke, is on a 48-fight losing streak. So I don't know why you're giving that one so much credence.
Frankie Edgar's still the champion.
Yeah, Frankie Edgar's never lost a round in his life. I think RDA takes it. I think it's going to be a split decision, and I think it's going to do nothing to further the case that RDA has anything for anybody in the very, very upper echelon of the division.
Actually, Taylor, I had not so much that he hasn't ever lost a round, but I had the first round in the second Maynard fight 10-10.
Oh, look at you, baby steps.
So
Luke.
it was close. It was close. And Dateline Las Vegas, Nevada, we're not getting away from the goddamn place. This time from the MGM Grand Garden Arena on the Strip, it's UFC 178, absolutely loaded card. So we're going to start it off at the Fox Sports 1 preliminary. Give me a winner and maybe a sentence or two if you'd be ever so kind. In the welterweight division, Brian Ebersole takes on John Howard.
Oof. I mean, Howard, he's been relatively active, and Ebersole hasn't looked good in his last couple of fights.
Yeah, I'm going with John Howard, who's keeping it real with his Anthony Mason-like hairstyles.
yeah, I think that Howard's going to win a pretty lopsided unanimous decision here.
You want none of Howard in the paint. No way Ebersole's going to keep him off that offensive glass. Weird fight here. John Howard and Brian. I think it's going to be kind of ugly, and I think Howard will probably take a 29-28 across the board.
Luke, I'm not sure that you know what fight rebounding or what sport rebounding is in. There's no rebounding in MMA, you stupid fucking retard.
Soccer. Football.
John Howard. Yeah, sure. Yeah, Brian Ebersole isn't good. Yeah, John Howard.
In the welterweight division, former middleweight title contender Patrick Cote takes on Wonderboy Stephen Thompson.
Thompson. Cote's chin is giving out on him, and Thompson's actually looked pretty damn good. So, Thompson.
Yeah, a big part of me wants to think that Cote is the kind of guy that can ugly up a fight against Thompson and kind of take that element of his game away, but I think that's just me being more wishful than being in reality, so I'm going to say Stephen Thompson unanimous decision.
Yeah, I don't think Cote's chin's really going so much at this point. He's never actually been knocked out cleanly in a fight, except for the weirdness of the Sakara fight where there was a lot of punches to the back of the head. But
Yeah,
Thompson's better, like significantly better at this point. So he should win a very lopsided decision in an ugly fight.
Cote is a bit, and by a bit I mean a couple bits, past his expiration date, and now pretty much moves as slow as whale shit. So I think Thompson's just going to be too fast, and he'll style on him from many directions for a UD.
This is hearing everybody's thoughts on this fight is really strange to me. Everybody's talking about how Cote is completely past his prime and how his chin's going out. He's never been finished outside of whatever you want to call the Sakara fight and having his knee blown up by Silva. And the Alan Belcher fight. That's not a TKO. Sorry. I was thinking by strikes, but maybe he slowed down a lot, but apart from that, technically he still got what little technique he had. Stephen Thompson still sucks like fucking gazelle dong at fighting.
He really doesn't, though.
Well, he kind of does.
Patrick,
this is Ben. Whose turn is it to talk?
He has the talking stick.
We need to get a goddamn pillow and overnight it to each other and then film these things over 3 weeks. So, in the interest of not being hot take Taylor, I'll say Thompson split decision, but I think Cote is the most active dog on the card. Unless you consider Poirier a dog, which would be fucking retarded.
In the lightweight division, James Krause takes on Jorge Masvidal.
I like Krause, but Masvidal is going to comfortably win a decision.
Yeah, Masvidal is going to take a pretty... it may not be beautiful, but it'll be a very clear UD on this one.
Yeah, Masvidal is really good at beating the guys he's supposed to beat, and he's supposed to beat James Krause. I think he will. Once again, in a decision.
I agree as everyone else. I think Masvidal is going to cruise here to a UD.
Taylor.
Jorge.
Whoa!
Jorge or George, sorry, depending on your dialect. I don't want to offend anybody. Watching my privilege here.
In the bantamweight division and headlining the Fox Sports 1 card, former champion Dominic Cruz takes on Takeya Mizugaki.
Cruz, UD, if he shows up even near his best, he's going to easily beat Mizugaki.
I'll put on my hot take Taylor mask, and I'm going to say that Mizugaki, for me, is the most live dog on this card because Dominic Cruz hasn't fought in
3 years.
Eons.
He hasn't fought since I hit puberty. I'm going to be honest with you guys.
So,
he hasn't fought in 4 months.
Boom. I just think if there's ever a time on earth when Takeya Mizugaki is going to beat Dominic Cruz, it's when Cruz is coming off a 44-year layoff and Mizugaki's looked better as of late in his career pretty consistently than he has in a long time. And I think that there's so much rust on Cruz, and I'm going to take Mizugaki with a stunning unanimous decision.
Yeah, I think there's a very, very good possibility that exactly what Earl just described is going to happen. But if Cruz is the same fighter, Cruz wins this. If Cruz is a guy who looks like he's had multiple knee surgeries and hasn't fought in a long time, I think for him I'm more concerned than I would be for other guys because his style is so movement-based that if his knees are not able to hold up, that concerns me. I'm going to say Cruz decision, but if he's not the same Cruz, Mizugaki's a solid fighter, and that's not an easy matchup to come into.
Mizugaki is a solid fighter, and I think that's kind of the problem, is that he doesn't excel in any one particular aspect. He just kind of one of those guys that just hustles his way to victory. I can't, even with, he hasn't fought since the Carter administration, I still can't buy that Cruz's natural talent and abilities here won't just on their own be enough to take down Mizugaki. I mean, and plus when Mizugaki gets beaten down, he gets beaten down pretty hard. Faber almost killed the man, and I mean, I don't know. I just think Cruz, even with the layoff, Mizugaki will charge in. Cruz's awful footwork will sidestep him, and I think he'll just paint him up. So I get Cruz by UD.
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of what Josh said. It's seeing him really like the thing that Dominic Cruz has been better than almost inarguably everybody else in MMA history is moving. And somebody who's so movement based, having his knee exploded 18,000 times,
And
probably
the groin.
doesn't bode well for him. I still don't think that Takeem Mizugaki's that great. I'm definitely surprised they gave him this fight coming off of a vicious knockout loss to Cisco Rivera. But I'm gonna go with I'll go with Dominic Cruz by finish because as has been said, Mizugaki doesn't just lose; he tends to lose spectacularly.
The Faber fight's the only time he's ever been finished, I'm pretty sure.
But
Yeah,
every other time he's
just
lost,
for
he's
the
been
record.
beaten down that I remember. Apart
Yeah,
from
he always
Kyrgios.
looks near death. A lot of his losses.
Mm-hmm.
In the women's bantamweight division, Amanda Nunes takes on the returning Alpha Cat Zingano.
Fuck me, Earl.
If Earl shows up in the crowd, Zingano's going to be way too distracted to fight. So as long as Earl's able to stay away, Zingano has a shot. Nunez would be smart to take it to the ground. It's really a pick'em fight, especially with Zingano also coming off with this injury and the whole tragedy that happened. And I really want to pick her, but I'm going to go with Nunez to actually steal this fight. My hot take, upset.
Yeah, I have a problem with that, Ben. I think that what we're going to see is a bit of a slow-paced, kind of a measured first round here. Because Kat is coming off of the knee injury and everything else, but I'm gonna say that the number one contendership will be reclaimed on Saturday night with an Alpha Cat destruction in round 2. Who's going to jail?
Not coming from me. Not coming from my end.
I think the Cat should be able to handle this fight, but same thing as Cruz, if it's the same Cat that we've seen previously, and I don't really know if it is, but I'm going to say, operating under the assumption that she shows up at 100%, I think she wins this by second or third round stoppage. She might actually be behind until the stoppage, but I expect her to unload when she gets an opening similar to the Tate fight.
I mean, this is the second fight in a row where it's an absolute crapshoot here, a complete roll of the dice. I don't know how she's going to look and deal mentally and physically. I think she kind of warms herself up back to her formal level in the fight. I don't expect her to come flying out of the gate. I think, like I said, yeah, it is measured, it is slow. She can kind of, tries to see what she can do, but I think it is enough for a win. UD or a split decision.
Yeah, a lot like what you guys are saying. It really does depend on how Kat comes back from the surgery, but Amanda Nunez's 2 UFC wins are arguably over the 2 worst UFC women fighters ever that aren't horsewomen. Like, Sheila Gaff is basically and arguably the worst, I would say the worst fighter to have ever fought in the modern day UFC. And Jermaine Durand to me is not very good at things that aren't punching and leg kicks. So I don't think that Nunez has enough to take even a broken down Cat if that's what shows up. But if Cat's on, that is a blowout.
In the middleweight division, Tim Kennedy takes on Yoel Romero.
fucking great fight, first of all. I'm looking forward to this fight like crazy. It has potential. We're going to most likely get a title contender out of this.
Oh my god, no. If Joffrey isn't a title contender, the winner of this fight is not getting a shot.
Kennedy will get a shot. Will possibly get a shot if he wins, and I think
Kennedy did get shot.
You're
Ayo.
thinking of Joe Rigg. And Romero, I can actually see them throwing him straight into a title shot if everything works out that way with Weidman's injury and because he's 36, if I'm not mistaken.
37.
37 already? Okay.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a lot of time left. Athletic
Jesus, he doesn't have lung cancer, Ben.
On Earth?
as a fighter, I apologize. He's 37. He's an athletic freak, but athleticism is really one of the first things to go when it comes to fighters. And he's dynamic. He's obviously got the wrestling to always to keep the fight on the feet for the most part when he wants to. And that's really interesting because he's definitely going to be stronger than Kennedy. He's definitely more athletic, and he's got the wrestling skill to keep it on the feet. And Kennedy is not, hopping on the tail fight aside, is not a power puncher. So Romero's chin should be able to hold up. I mean, we saw the beating he took from Brunson for 2 rounds, and he just took it. It's a pick'em fight. It really is. I'm gonna go with Romero to be the first man to ever finish Tim Kennedy in the 3rd round.
Tim Kennedy got finished by Scott Smith.
First fight of his career.
Okay, I'm sorry. I did not know that. Okay, 2nd man to ever finish Tim Kennedy. First man to finish him since that fight, obviously.
Since that fight. Very good.
Earl.
I'm going to say that I was happy that Tim Kennedy proved me right by beating Michael Bisping because I thought he would, and that he went in there and did exactly that. I think that Yoel Romero is awesome. I love to watch him fight, but for some reason I just think that this is Tim Kennedy's this is just like kind of his time right now to make hay while the sun is shining, so to speak. So I think that Tim Kennedy's going to win a unanimous decision here and looks surprisingly impressive doing it.
Yeah, I can't get sold on Romero. I mean, the Brunson fight, he was just absolutely getting handled for 2 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Derek Brunson, but he's not the level of fighter that when you're an athleticism guy like Romero is, he should not have been just getting physically overwhelmed like he was for as long as that went on. And guys like Kennedy are just he grinds out guys like Romero, and I expect him to do it here.
You see, Ben, John F. Kennedy was a president, and he's not even there. All right. It kind of gets lost in the shuffle because of how obnoxious Tim Kennedy is, but he's really, to me, one of the most underrated fighters in the world. He's beaten the best. Yoel Romero is not one of the best. I think Kennedy he'll really kind of, I think, cardio-wise, he'll be more than able. He has some of the best cardio in the middleweight division, and I think he'll really be able to do some bad things to Romero. He will kind of take the fight wherever he wants to. He can put Romero on his back, or he can just stick and move and just kind of outwork him for 15 minutes.
I was expecting to, hopefully get in a bit of a hot take here, but I agree with Luke and Tom. I think, for as much of a piece of shit as I think Tim Kennedy is, he's a damn good fighter. He's not flashy. He's boring as shit. But, who are the guys? He has 4 losses in his career, correct? Scott Smith, Mayhem Miller, Jacare, and Rockhold, I think?
Correct. That's correct.
That's an incredible list of guys to have lost to if you're not a, championship level fighter. For a guy who's comfortably kind of in that 4 to 7 range in his weight class, that's a damn good list of opponents. I really do like him a lot in this fight. Yoel Romero, I think, is going to, shit the bed as is, he's kind of accustomed to doing. And I think Tim Kennedy walks away with the unanimous decision.
In the featherweight division, Conor McGregor takes on Dustin Poirier.
McGregor is has the style to beat Poirier. Poirier, he's really good. He fights way too wild. If Diego Brandao was able to drop him, and pretty much almost every fighter he fights is able to hurt him on the feet. It's hard to be comfortable kicking Poirier against McGregor, who's extremely powerful, accurate. He really is a great striker. He's an excellent striker. On the ground, Poirier will fuck him up. But I see Poirier wanting to stand with him. He isn't exactly the smartest fighter, so...
Ben, this isn't me trying to be an asshole. What makes you say that?
Because he's willing to brawl when it's dangerous, and he's a better striker, a better grappler. He's just willing to stand and bang. That's not...
When has he done that and lost outside of...
he doesn't necessarily lose, but he'll take a ton of damage that he doesn't have to. There was no reason...
I would say the zombie fight, honestly.
Yeah.
That's it, really.
He lost because...
And obviously that's a big...
oh, of course. I'm not saying
loss,
that...
but still.
There's a reason that he's like a top 5 fighter. I think he should be. I think he has the skills to really be a legit top 5 fighter. But I think the defensive holes he leaves on the feet, because he's so willing to just stand and bang, there was no reason for Diego Brandao to be able to drop him. He should have absolutely kicked the shit out of him from pillar to post. But instead he got dropped because he wanted to brawl and prove a point. You see what I mean? So if he does that with McGregor, I actually think he might get finished.
I don't think McGregor has more raw power than Brandao, though. Maybe power, not. I think Brandao was.
Raw power, Brandao wins, maybe, but accuracy really does matter. Pinpoint accuracy and tons of power. I can really see him knocking out McGregor, knocking Poirier out. So I'm gonna actually pick McGregor to beat him my second round TKO.
I think kind of what's going to be a downfall for Dustin Poirier in this fight is going to be I think he's going to go in a little bit too emotional and really wanting to prove a point, and I think it's going to end up with him getting lit up staring at the lights in the first round. I don't like it, but I think McGregor's going to fucking dump truck him in first.
Yeah, I don't know that he's going to dump truck him in the first, but I think that McGregor is just shown that he's got the better skill set, especially on the feet. I think Ben was correct in a lot of the things saying about his striking accuracy, and Poirier's very hittable. And even if the fight hits the ground, I don't know that it's an automatic route on the ground. I think that the couple times that he's been subbed in the past, it's pretty clear that he's definitely shored up some holes in his game. So I think McGregor wins this pretty comfortably. I'll take him by unanimous decision.
We don't know if he shored up his holes on from the bottom, though.
There's a lot of things in that sentence, Ben.
Nope, can't do it. Poirier, second round submission.
I love Dustin Poirier. He's my favorite fighter at featherweight by a mile. I think McGregor's a complete douchebag. I think he's obnoxious. Everything about his shtick is what I hate about MMA. But Conor McGregor, like, the more I watch on the guy, because I've kind of just been trying to, I don't know, see some of his older fights, see some of his regionals, whatnot. He's a damn good fighter. He's probably already, almost be comfortable saying he's probably the second best striker in the division. Fuck, I hate that. But I do think that he is still fairly hittable. I think that Poirier holds a decent sized advantage wrestling. I think he holds an advantage on the ground, and I think that his chin is. He's never been knocked out. He's been dropped 1 or 2 times, notably by Brandao, and I can't think of any other times he's been dropped. Maybe Cub dropped him once. Can anybody remember? I don't know. And Zombie, but no, he's got a good chin. I don't see him being knocked out. I think that if McGregor wins, it's going to be by a I was going to say 48-47. This really should be a 5-round fight. By a 29-28 decision. If not, I think Poirier takes him down and ground and pounds him. Second round TKO.
In the lightweight division, Donald Cerrone against the debuting Eddie Alvarez.
Oh, finally, Eddie is in the UFC. But if Cerrone uses the tools that he like, if he really puts together all his tools and puts in a performance that we've seen him be able to do in the past, I think he beats Alvarez. I think on the ground he can, I could see him getting a submission. I think he has the power. He's developed a lot of power in his hands and his feet, and he's always had powers in his legs.
Powers? What kind of powers?
Well, he's got power in one leg and power in the other leg, so I just combine them into powers.
His powers combined.
He's got the Megazord on his side. So I can really see him actually beating the holy hell out of Alvarez. But Alvarez will probably be able to draw him into a brawl for at least a round. Both are hittable. So I see a absolute war for the first round. And the second round, Cerrone listens to his corner and starts fighting smart, and I could see him taking a decision. I'll see him taking a decision.
Yeah, guys, I'm so super moist for this fight. Like, fucking, this is just the best thing. This could go to so many ways, and it's just such a fucking great fight. But I'm gonna take Cerrone by unanimous decision. But I don't even give a shit who wins it, to tell you the truth. I just know it's gonna be awesome. So that's really all I care about.
Okay, well, somebody was going to have to be the guy to go the other route. I'm going to have to take Eddie here by a razor-thin unanimous decision or split decision where there might be 2 or 3 knockdowns apiece in the fight.
The thing about Cerrone is he can still get got by a very crisp and proficient striker, and Eddie Alvarez is that. So I think Eddie gets a second-round TKO on him. Also, the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to the postseason for the second year in a row. Go ahead, Taylor.
This fight could fucking swing more ways than Dan Galvan. These guys are probably the 2 most bipolar fighters in the world. One day, either of them could show up looking like they could dump truck Anthony Pettis, and the next time they'll come up looking like they're gonna, lose to Ian McCall. So, I think best at their best, I think Cerrone wins. But honestly, I think this is the hardest to pick, the most difficult fight to pick that I can honestly remember. I'm going to take Cerrone just because I think he's more of a proven thing, but it wouldn't surprise me to see Alvarez win. I'll go Cerrone by unanimous decision.
And in the main event of the evening for the UFC Flyweight Championship, it is champion Demetrius Johnson taking on the challenger Chris Carriasso.
Yeah, this won't be competitive. There's no use making a real breakdown. Johnson by submission. Second, third round.
I'm gonna say that DJ keeps finishing people. Carriaso's absolutely a dude he should finish, and it shouldn't take him too long to do it. So I'm saying second round TKO for Demetrius.
Yeah, I think Demetrius will probably open up and look for the finish here because he knows he needs to look good against somebody like Carriasso. So I'll take him by third round submission.
I, too, have DJ going with a third-round submission. That's when he really starts to kind of break guys down, and then we can look for that sub there.
Johnson by fucking banana split.
Boom! And on that note, that will do it for us today. We will see you next Tuesday, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And you can follow us at Undercard Super. Visit us on undercardsuperstar.com and War Dustin Poirier.